How are we doing, lads? It's going to be a little bit of a continuation here of our tutorial series. So, we talked about last episode about how we got our comp working and we added our hammer. We wired everything up. This episode we're going to be adding something called oneshot and generally finishing the cannon up and preparing to use this cannon on complex. We fire that. Hopefully it works. Be a bit sad if it doesn't. Yeah. So you can see there it's stacked, but it's stacked 2 blocks below where the barrel's hitting. So we want this cannon to actually stack up to, I'll get some sandstone to demonstrate this. We actually want this cannon to stack up to here. So what we're going to be doing is adding something called oneshot. So what the oneshot basically is going to do is it's going to act with TNT. It's going to go with your first power. So it's going to get shot with your sand, and it's going to get give the sand a bit of upwards velocity on the wall, so you actually shoot the sand back up to where you want to hit. So what we're going to do for that is, I'm trying to think of the best way to do this. This is kind of a bad spot to put it because I'm sort of worried about getting bad exposure for it. So what we might do, we can try it, and if not, we can just raise the blocks a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to add in a dispenser maybe here. This is probably going to be pretty poorly wired, but that's going to be okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at our timings. I'm going to add the hammer to this. So we know we wired our hammer 3 redstone ticks after our second power. So our hammer will be at 11 redstone ticks. So what we're going to do with the hammer being at 11 redstone ticks is add some oneshot. So the oneshot you want after your hammer hits the wall, but before the hammer explodes. So we're going to get our oneshot on maybe 10 redstone ticks. So what we can do for that is we can grab a little feed off something. Let's just grab it off this, nice and lazy. 2, 3, 4, and then 1. So from this redstone line here, it's 0, 1, 2, 6, 10. It's going to be 10 redstone ticks after. I'm kind of worried that it's not going to get launched up high enough, but we're going to see. In fact, I'm pretty sure it won't because the velocity is going to be too low there. Nah, didn't. So what we're going to do now is we're going to try some things to try and increase the exposure for this, or specifically the Y exposure. So the first thing we're going to try is probably just adding or replacing the trapdoor for an end rod. I'm not sure how well that's going to work. Yeah, well you can see we shot the sand out, but now I've got a problem with, or we shot the oneshot out, but now I've got a problem with the sand not working. You can see here as well on the wall that the sand stack's actually a block higher though. So that's a nice little side effect, I guess. So we're going to remove that, and what I've done is I've just changed the orientation of it. So hopefully we get a bit better exposure for the rest of the sand. Again, same problem, not enough exposure. We could try a ladder. Although now we're sort of getting into the area where I'm kind of worried about this sand solidifying on that block there. Oh, it actually doesn't. Holy shit. Wow, that's awesome. Let's fire that again, see if we can get that working. It's perfect, actually. Okay, so you can see there that what we've actually done with our oneshot is the timings are perfect, and it's actually stacking 1 below our barrel height, which is exactly what we want. So if we say reduce a tick to the oneshot, and it's going to be, I think, 1 redstone tick after the second power, I think, then. I'll talk about range for this in a second as well. Okay, yeah. So the later your oneshot, the longer your range is going to have. So your range is always dependent on the first thing to go off, and in this case it's the oneshot. So we are going to make the oneshot as late as possible while still being able to barrel stack. So our oneshot at the moment, oneshot is 10 RST. So if we fire this again, this is oneshot on 10 redstone ticks. So we fire that. Now we can see, again, 1 below barrel height. Now the last thing we're going to do, just before we start cleaning up this cannon, is we're going to add something called oneshot sand. Now oneshot sand is a piece of sand that goes with your hammer power. So what that basically does is you can see here we're stacking below barrel height. Now the problem is, if we want to stack 2 barrel height with, say, our normal sand, we need a shorter delayed 1 rev, which A, will decrease range, but it also means we're going to do something called clip underneath this block here. So it looks like it's actually clipping already, to be honest. Shit, oh dear. So what clipping basically is the act of not stacking while there's a solid block, one underneath the guider. So if we say it's here, and we fire the cannon again, if this is a clipping ratio, I'm actually going to be quite sad. Okay, no. So it's actually not. So that's what we want to happen. But you can see again, the problem is we're not stacking all the way up to the barrel height. So what we're going to do from here is we're going to work out how to add some one-shot sand in. And now, probably the cheesiest way we're going to do that is, because you need to shoot it with your hammer power, you obviously need to shoot it with this booster. And because we already have a piston here, what I'm thinking of doing is just moving that piston back by like 2 blocks and just having it there. It'll be quite a gross cannon, but it's a tutorial cannon. It's going to be a proof of concept. So if we do that, and now what we do is we have some red sand. And what we're actually going to have here is we're actually going to have the red sand physically moving across. So that red sand there, basically what it's going to do is it's going to get shot with this power, and it's also going to be used simultaneously to push the booster forwards. Oh, actually, I don't think we can have that. It's a bit annoying. Yeah, if I want to have my 1 rev or my booster like this, I'd actually need that sand like a little bit closer, but I can't really do that. So we might be left thinking of some other way to do this. What we could try, I guess, is if we have that there, and say that Peter there, and that goes to that. We can try adding a piston here, I guess. Put a piston there, and then we'll drop our red sand maybe to there. And then, because we're powering that piston there, we might be able to get away with just bud powering it like that. So what I'm hoping is going to happen here is it's just going to bud power, but because we update it with that, it's just going to push that out. So we'll see if that works. Oh. What? Okay, so that's a slight issue. What I've actually done here is I've actually taken the timings of this piston off the timings for the hammer. So I've actually given that the wrong timings. So what I'm going to do instead is need to work out a way to power from underneath. It's a bit harder now, isn't it? Does look like it's fired that, but it was probably way too early. So if we want to fire both that and that simultaneously, this is kind of like put us into a bit of a tricky spot, I guess. Can't really raise the sand up. Can I lower it? Not sure if I'm going to be able to lower it either. Now, this has just put us in an absolutely terrible spot. Try and add this in. So I'm powering that block there. Need to try and get redstone to that piston. I can't actually power the block to the side of it because that's actually a transparent block. I do need a block underneath of it as well. You've run into a little bit of a problem here. That's actually quite annoying. Suppose one thing we can do is... Oh, we can't even do that, eh? Wow, this has absolutely just ruined my day. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a piston that goes off slightly to the side here. It's going to go off a bit earlier than that piston, so it's going to physically push the one-shot sand into that piston there after the hammer's dropped, and then we'll have a sand stack here. This is a pretty bad way of doing it, but I think it should work. So what I'm going to do is actually to power this piston here, I want to power that block underneath. I'm going to just drop a target block there, just to pull that redstone pulse in. We're just going to fire, see if this works. It's going to be a miracle if it does. Sort of. Okay, so the good news is we've actually physically stacked our one-shot sand there. But now the bad news is it just shot a bunch of sand out the side. And I suspect that's because when that pushes, it's the power that's actually shooting that across. So what we can do from here is, if we don't want our power shooting that across, what I might actually do is just give it like a little bit of protection, just like that. It's a pretty bad way of doing it, but it should work. So if we fire that again, we want to stack there. Yeah, bang. It's ugly. Yikes. This is a terrible looking cannon now. Probably dog shit. Anyway, it's all good. It's our very, very first cannon together, so kind of expect it to be bad. Anyway, what we're going to do from here then is, we got our 1 rev, we have our hammer going. What we're actually going to do is we're going to add something to go off after the hammer. So when the hammer appears at the top of the wall, so if we're going to show this little diagram like I showed, like I think it was the last video, or the video before, where we had our sand at the wall and we had our hammer at the wall. So now not only do we have the sand at the wall and the hammer at the wall, we now have TNT with this package of sand, so these two are being shot simultaneously. This is going to be our 1 rev, and this is going to be our hammer. And additionally, with the hammer, we're also shooting our red sand, which is called our one-shot sand. OS sand. I'll name it one-shot sand, so it doesn't get confused with something else. One-shot sand, and then that normal sand there, that's our normal stacking sand. So what we're going to do from here is we're going to add another part to this cannon. So you can see here, it's actually not destroying any blocks on the wall, but we do want it to destroy the wall. So what we're going to do is we're going to make some TNT go off inside that one-shot sand after the hammer has stacked it. So what we can do is, this is our hammer here. Might just add some TNT up the side here. It's a pretty half-assed way of doing it. And we want that TNT to go off after the hammer. So the best way of doing that, actually I might just wrap it around the bottom, to be honest. It's going to power that though, it's going to power that booster. Bit of an awkward spot. Okay. It's going to be pretty bad, but we're just going to take an observer out, and then take, I don't know, 2 repeaters out or something. Repeater. And then we'll do some, I want to put redstone there, so I might need to just power that again. Okay, TNT for, just going to ignore that. We're not going to talk about that anymore. But basically what's happening now is after the hammer goes off, I think it's, how many redstone ticks after that? So we've got 1 redstone tick after the hammer goes off, plus 4, which is 9 redstone ticks after the hammer goes off. Our one-shot's going to go off. Our one-shot, our hybrid, our scatter, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to call it one-shot / scatter. That's going to explode. So what's basically going to do, your 1 rev's going to explode, push everything up. Your hammer's going to explode, stacking everything down, just like that. Your one-shot sand's going to naturally stack at the top like that. And then your scatter's going to explode within the one-shot sand. So we fire again, we should just see that. Fire. Hopefully it works. Yeah, I did just see it push there. Pop, there you go, bang. So there you go, that's our very, very first little hybrid cannon. That's working now. So what we're going to do from here is we're going to start cleaning up this cannon a little bit. So the purpose of cleaning up a cannon is A, to make it a bit nicer to build, and B, to increase any possible build time. So what we can do from here is we're going to look for spots where we think we can increase our build time. So in this scenario here, you can see I've got 2 1-tick repeaters here, but I don't need these here. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to replace that with redstone, and I'm going to add 2 ticks to that. And additionally, I think, yeah, that should fit. I'm going to place that 3-tick repeater there, break that 3-tick repeater, place this 4-tick repeater here, break that 4-tick repeater. So you can see now I've made this a block thinner, and I've got substantially less blocks to place now. Fire that again. Boom. The most important thing to do before you do this each time is to always make sure it works. And especially make sure that you're copying across your timings correctly, because otherwise you can start running into problems. So what we're going to do from here now is we're going to start skimming down these boosters. So I'm going to break a fair chunk of this booster, and we're going to fire the cannon and see if it still works perfectly fine. The reason we're doing this is just to cut down our long-term TNT usage. So you can see there everything stacks fine. So we're going to remove another couple of blocks, fire it again. Everything still works fine. Reduce another 2 blocks and fire again. I'm actually going to place a block at the bottom just so it doesn't spray out the side. Still works fine. We're going to reduce those 3 blocks there. Now the reason why I'm keeping this block at the top here is that's actually holding what's or the reset for it. So I do want that to still remain in place. Now you can see there that something's gone wrong. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add back those 3 blocks of dispensers, and we're just going to fire again. I won't be particularly... Oh, okay. That's what's happened. So basically what's happened there is the booster hasn't got enough power to get that all the way into the barrel. It's actually stacked in the barrel. So one thing we can do there in this specific scenario is actually open up the barrel. So hopefully that still maintains the velocity to get in the barrel. And then we can go back to cutting down that booster. Boom, bang. Still working, so we're going to cut it down a bit more. We cut down those 3 blocks again, and fire. Now you can see it's not working as well anymore. We're not actually getting all that sand through. So we're going to add booster until it works. So we're going to add another booster there, and we're going to fire again. Still not working properly. So we're going to add another piece of the booster. T-fire. See if this works now. Okay, so that's working again. So this is the bare minimum amount of booster we can actually have here. So what we're going to do now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we're going to have 10 booster here. So what we're going to do from here is we're actually going to physically move all this booster down to the bottom and shuffle it all down. Oops, I didn't mean to break that. So what we can do now is we can just redistribute all this booster at the bottom. So we're going to do now 1, 2, 3. Now we need 10 booster. So we've got 6 at the bottom now, 7, 8, 9. Oh, is that 10 blocks? Yeah, that's 10 blocks, isn't it? Okay. So it is good to keep in mind as well, just where the position of your observers is going to end up. So in this case here, that's 10 observers, or not 10 observers, sorry, 10 dispensers. So I'm going to break down the top section here. I'm going to break down all of this back down to about here, at which point we will just place the reset mechanism at the top again. And we will try firing this cannon again. I'm going to place a block of cobblestone there just so you can easily place that piston in your stem. So we're just going to fire it again, see if it works. Boom, you can see it works perfectly fine there. Do the exact same thing for this next booster now. So this booster should be even less than this booster because it doesn't need to travel as far. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to skim this down to all... I already know it's going to be less than 10, so we're just going to take it down to 8 initially. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So about to here. And we're going to leave the reset one, of course, so it's about 9 TNT for now. Fire. See if that works. Perfect. Works fine. So going to reduce another one and fire again. Still works fine. Reduce another one, fire again. Still working fine. Reduce another one, fire again. And you're just going to keep doing this down every single time until you approach a point where you are at the minimum amount of TNT for all of your boosters. So what we're going to do from here now is we'll just cut this down again and fire. See if that works now. Still works fine. Okay, after that little distraction there, we're going to keep recording. So we've skimmed this booster down to now 5 TNT. So we fire again. See that? Hopefully it works. Bang. Fucking hell, it's still working. So what we're going to do from here is, I guess we just take it down even more TNT. Now, funnily enough, we're actually approaching a point with this booster here. Holy shit, it's still working. Okay, what we're actually going to do is just to like keep it like not exploding, I guess, is we're actually just going to leave it there at what's that, 4 pieces of TNT, because I really don't trust going underneath 4 pieces of TNT. So again, what we're going to do is we're going to break down this entire booster, and we might actually be able to get away with just doing some pretty basic crystal there. Just had a bit of an oopsie and just absolutely just tanked. We're gonna keep rebuilding this. We're gonna keep rebuilding this cannon from here. So what we're gonna do is we have 4 TNT now in this booster. So we're just gonna skim this back down again, and we almost don't need this mechanism here. And what I might do is I might just switch this out for redstone. So if we add that there, and this might work actually. Will it work? Alright, I'm going to try rewiring this and just seeing if this works. It should. I'm not sure if the bottom one's going to bud power or not. If it doesn't bud power, we can just add that block in over the top. So if we just T-fire, let's make sure it works. Didn't work there. So what we're actually going to do now is I think this... No, that did fire. Okay. That one fired. That one fired. That one fired. That one fired. I'm going to... looks like I need to add a piece of TNT then. I'll fire it again. I'm not actually quite sure why that didn't work. Okay. We might have a jam. No, we don't. Bit interesting. Not quite sure why this isn't working now. Get fire again. Let's have a bit of a look. Okay, so that would be why. So the reason why we're not stacking sand at all is because this our hammer just physically isn't firing. Okay, yep, that makes so much more sense. So that dispenser there isn't actually getting powered. I was thinking it was going to get bud powered, but turns out it actually isn't. So what we're going to do from here is we do need to rewire this little section here. And what I'm thinking is I'll just do that into a repeater like that. And now what I'm going to do from here is I'm actually going to strategically place this repeater so it sits where that piston is, because we don't want to be powering that piston now. We want to be powering that piston later. So I'm going to fire that. You're going to see that observer's initially going to trigger there, but ultimately when you're quick pulsing it, it's not going to matter. So if we fire that again, hopefully you should see now, boom, hybrid goes off, boom, and everything works again. So you can see now we've got that little booster there cut down even smaller. So what we can do from here, again, same thing, we're going to start reducing the hammer. Now, one thing to keep in mind with your hammer is there is a game mechanic of TNT called swinging. And what swinging basically is it's... I need to do its own like dedicated little episode. But if you see your one-shot sand being physically shot up over where your hammer is, you're just getting a bad swing ratio. So what you can do to fix that is just add or subtract TNT to your hammer depending on what you need. So you can see there it stacks fine. Whereas if we remove one dispenser, you can see there it actually doesn't stack at all. And well, it does stack, but the one-shot sand gets shot up in the air. So that's just due to swinging. Yeah, you can see it just there. So what we're going to do is we're going to try skimming the hammer down, but we just need to keep in mind where the last position was, where it isn't swinging is. So you can see, I think that wasn't swinging there. Fire again. That's still all fine. Actually, one thing we need to do is we just need to make sure that it is actually stacking 10 sand. We go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so yeah, that is a thing you need to keep in mind, is just make sure you are stacking that 10 sand there and you're not stacking anything less. Because ultimately, if you're stacking less on, say, like if we got a 10 stacker and we want to stack 10 sand and we're stacking at Y5, ultimately, when we move that cannon back up, it's going to stop working. So I'm just shaving our hammer ratio back down now until it doesn't stack that 10 sand anymore. So we'll reduce another one. This is actually looking pretty good, to be honest, for a hammer ratio. Okay, you can see there, that's the point at which it stops working. So we just add that dispenser back, fire again, make sure it still works, and then we'll just skim this entire thing back down again. So we fire that again, boom, stacks, perfect. So what we're going to do from here now is we are going to... So we're going to count how many dispensers we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We got 13 dispensers, which actually falls straight in line with that 1.15 to 1.3 range. So we need 13 TNT to be shot out of this. So we can go... I'm going to reduce that. We got... How much is that? 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We got 13 TNT here now. And actually in a bit of a crappy spot, to be honest. Okay, so what we're going to do is reduce that one. We're actually going to have that another observer at the top here, because we still need that reset circuit. If I had a piece of cobblestone at the top there, I wouldn't be able to do that little reset. So we're just going to have an extra observer at the top, and then we're just going to have that piston there. It's powering that dispenser there, so we need to put the reset there, and then we'll just put a cobblestone block there. We fire again, make sure it all still works. Hybrid goes off. Bang. Problem solved. And at this point, we're almost pretty much down to what we need to be down to with regards to TNT ratios. There are a couple more ratios that you can mess around with that I really can't be bothered to do in this video. You can mess around with your boosters, you can reduce power if you need to, any other sort of situations like that you can all skim down, but generally your safest bet if you want to cut down on TNT usage is going to be hammer and your boosters like this. You can see initially these boosters were massive, now they're actually quite small. So what we're going to do from here is we're going to do a bit of neatening up of this cannon. So let's have a bit of a look. What can we cut down? Doesn't really look like too much, to be honest. I want to make this entire cannon a bit more compact if I can, but it's sort of just looking like some just crappy wiring, and then that's pretty much it. I really hate this. So what I'm actually going to do here is I'm just going to replace these ladders, or these trapdoors with ladders, just so it's a bit more whatchamacallit, symmetrical. Not really, but it just sticks with the theme a bit more. Yeah, apart from that, it's kind of just a crappy little cannon, to be honest. It's not really too good for wiring. I suppose one thing I can do is I might be able to just grab a redstone. No, I can't even grab it from there. I want to rewire this hybrid booster here, but it isn't really looking like there's a good way for me to do that. Didn't mean to break that. We can do something like this. So this hybrid is generally a pretty flexible timing here. It can go off anywhere from super early to super late, depending on what you want. I kind of like can't be bothered to make this look decent, so I'm actually going to make it go off super early. Okay. And that's actually put us into another funny little problem there, where the hybrid's actually going off so early, it's not giving the one-shot sand time to stack. So what we can do to fix that is say, I don't know. That's another dumb little issue. It's just like, just hate it when it happens, eh? I could... God, that's annoying. That's really, really annoying. Just trying to think of the best way to just string this thing up so it actually works, but nothing's really coming to mind, eh? Hmm. Let's have a look. So if I want, say, a 4-tick repeater going into that, and then I want to, say, power that 4-tick repeater, I suppose one thing I could do is I could... No, and then we're running into the scenario like that again. Ouch, this is kind of hurting now. Can't really do anything like that. That doesn't look good at all. It's a bit hard, eh? It's just a bit annoying. I'm sort of like thinking I just grab. Let's do that. This is pretty half-assed, but it'll work. So I'm actually grabbing it using an observer, going into that dispenser there. So when that dispenser there fires this booster, then hopefully that's going to be a little bit more delayed from the hammer. I'm just going to raise it up by a block as well, just so it gets powered a bit more nicely. T-fire. Nah, same issue again. So that wasn't even close to working. Let's add another Peter there. Actually, what we can do is we can pull that redstone up the side there, I think. No, we can't. Never mind. Oh my god, everything is going wrong. Everything that can go wrong has gone wrong. Because I still need that that redstone there. Jesus, we actually shot our one-shot scene back into that. That's so good. Wow. This is such an awkward spot to be in right now. Interesting. Yeah, the problem is, like, I know I could wire it and just make it super shit looking, but I do want to wire it nicely. But I'm at the point now where I just don't care enough, and we're just gonna wire it like this, to be honest. This cannon has in no way got clean wiring, but as I said, I'm kind of just beyond giving a fuck. So you guys can have whatever the fuck this thing is at the end of the day. Oh look, it magically works. Oh boy. God, I hate making shitty little cannons like this. It genuinely hurts my soul. Anyway, so because I'm kind of at the point now where I just can't be bothered to work on this thing anymore, and I kind of just want to get it out there, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make it, I'm just going to add that piston in here, observer, and then I promise the next cannons are going to look better. I promise. I hate this thing. And then let's put the button. Let's put the button here. This thing won't auto, I don't think. This thing's a piece of shit. Anyway, that's okay. This is our first cannon. I'm sorry for anyone who's going to use this, but it's crap. Anyway, so we're going to go up here, up one, and then we're just going to copy it. Copy. Paste. And the reason why we're making copy and pasting it is just now so we can start testing our So we're going to start testing our water. So what we're going to do now is, this is the final part of every cannon that you do need to do, is always water it and get it ready for the actual test server. So what we're going to do is we're going to have water there. So remember, like I said in the last video, you need to picture everywhere that you need water is where an explosion is going to occur. So in this booster here, an explosion can be occurring here, put some water there. Explosion can be occurring here, water. 2 explosions are going to be occurring here, one there, one there. We're going to put some water there. And that should cover both, which it does nicely. And we're going to have an explosion here because that's our barrel. So we're going to put some water there. And yep, I think that's okay. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to replace the floor with cobblestone. Block cobblestone. We're going to make another copy of this cannon. / copy. And we're going to fire it and just hope it works, because I don't want to spend any more time than I have to looking at this thing. Let's TNT fill it again. If you haven't noticed already, we are making a stack of our one-shot sand out there. So we're going to say that's an extra cannon at this point. I think. No, I really can't be bothered to fix that, I'm just going to leave that as is. I'm going to place a block there just so it doesn't spray that sand up anymore. But apart from that, the cannon actually worked and didn't blow up. So that's a nice little win. Oh my god, that is so funny. I'll try covering up the barrel a little bit. And just seeing if that helps it in any way. I'm not sure if it will, to be honest. I'll place the blocks there too. Fuck. Oh no. /CE. We're good. Don't do that. I just placed the blocks there, so hopefully it just stops spraying out, Boom. I didn't see any red sand spray, unless I'm blind. But oh my god, it is. It's still just absolutely just launching it off into Narnia. And I'm proud to say that I no longer care that it is being launched off into Narnia, and this is gonna do. So all we're kind of left with now is we've got 2 things to do. We got to make the schem, but we also want to plan this out for complex. So one difference about this cannon and say cannons that we have used on complex before, is we're going to need a sand bot. So what we're going to do is we are going to try and get a nice central location. So sandbots do a 11 by 11 area. So what we can do is we can sort of plan this out. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks there. And we've also got a block over here. It's going to need a sand bot. So I'm just going to break that actually. I'm just going to place that /ms. I'm going to place that there. So everywhere where we want sand to fall, I'm going to do it there. So what I'm sort of thinking is if we take that to the maximum there, 5. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if we place a sand bot here, it's actually going to reach both of those. It's sort of like an untold thing that you do really want to do on complex is sort of just have your sandbots so that they're going to cover both as much as you can. So you don't need to fill 2 sandbots. You can just use 1 sandbot for both. So what we're going to do is we're going to make the sandbot in the schem. Let's make it here. So that then's doing 5 up that way. And you've got this sort of bit that juts out here. So you'll place, in your schem, you'll place your sandbot here. And instead of using red sand and normal sand on complex, you actually want to use gravel because gravel's a shitload cheaper. So the block for a sandbot to place gravel is andesite. So we're going to use andesite where here. And we're also going to have 5 pieces of andesite. We can break that all now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Another thing to note, when you do find this cannon on complex, you will need to remember to place a block of, it'll be gravel, you'll need to remember to place a block of gravel here to make sure your one-shot's working. Because we actually have that little line there where we need to push that, push that gravel forwards first. So we'll need that gravel there. I don't think it'll actually change anything. I think it just won't stack as one-shot sound on the first shot. apart from that, I think that's pretty much it. So yeah, congrats. This is your very, very first 10 stacker. So in the next video, we are going to take a deep dive into something called order of entities, which is going to be how everything stacks and is sort of calculated to occur, like the order in which it's supposed to occur in game. So we'll take a deep dive into that into the next video, and we're just going to try and just have as little area on this game as possible. Don't want anything really sticking out, even though it's already sticking out pretty badly. I simply do not have the energy to test float or range or anything, so you guys can all test this out in game or on the server. It should work on complex. If I can be bothered to actually build this absolute piece of shit on complex, I will make an update video and show you that it works. But for the time being, I really can't be bothered. So yeah, congrats. This is your very, very first cannon that's going to be stacking more than one sand. Actually, before I do go, what I will do is I'll just show you that it will actually work on complex, or not on complex, but on a server. So I'm going to just do //walls cobblestone 10 5. So I got 10 new cobblestone walls there, and we're going to refill the cannon, and we're going to fire it. This is such a piece of crap, honestly. If you're coming up against walls with slabs, we don't actually have anything on this cannon to break slabs, so good luck. Oh, we don't have sand. I'm just // refill. And that should be good. That's filled. Yeah, we got that block there. You can fire that again. Boom. Fire it again. Bang. There we go. So yeah, congrats if you made it this far. This is your new little friend. I'm not fixing that sand that flies off to the side because I just cannot be bothered, and this thing's a piece of crap and I don't want to deal with it anymore. So /unfill, we're going to unfill all the sand. Oh, that unfills the TNT. Was it MS clear? Look at this. There we go. So I've actually cleared that all up now. You can see we just got andesite there. So when you place a sand mod, it's going to fill in all of that. And yeah, that's it. So yeah. This thing's terrible. Alright. Have a good one, lads. I'll catch you all in the next video.